What's going on, Christine?
Oliver, we're talking Ollie Pants. We're talking about one of your favorite subjects, cancel culture.
Yo, I just want to say
Yo,
real
good.
fast, I really enjoy this discussion. We're
Yeah,
having so
same here.
much fun, man. Uh, also, I wanted to say that's a sick ass bass behind you. What is that, like a Fender Jazz Master or something?
Nah, it's one of like I don't know if it's like a direct like it's not like a knockoff. I don't know if it's modeled off of it.
Round three.
Sterling sub series.
Okay, cool.
Um,
What up, Cherry Blossom?
and it is a good base and some good work has been done on it. So yeah, so
Nice.
when it comes to the idea of freedom of speech and who gets to enforce what, I mean, honestly, all of these spaces are, excuse me. So obviously any social media platform, any job, like even your own home, if somebody starts pissing you off or whatever, and you want them out of your crib, it's what I'm saying, you're going to enforce them out of your crib and shit. Or if like, what I'm saying, if a bunch of Nazis and shit are out in the street and they're doing their protests and whatnot, and you're like, fuck Nazis, you're gonna go and meet them and show them they're not welcome. What I'm saying? And this
Mm,
happens at every level, from the mundane to the most serious shit. This is just what happens. And so while um like I said, just from that one meme, but I'm not just from that one meme that doesn't pass the threshold of racism. But the
yeah.
thing is, I'm not again. But the thing is that very well could have been a meme that was explicitly racist. But the point being is that, like, he's not. This person is not canceled from being able to explain themselves. They'll always have a chance to explain themselves. It's just about will they actually convey, not only are they apologizing for, and personally, I don't even so much care about a person apologizing for offense or the harm done. If that's all that's, it is, if it's just offense and shit, it's about the implications of those ideas.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned before that, oh, I think the reaction to the meme and everything and trying to get him fired and ruin his life and stuff is worse than the implications of the meme. I 100% disagree with that, because the result of the meme has been in deaths, in murder. It's been in targeted violence. It's been in, seeing the doxing
Well,
of very,
not the
it's
meme,
oh,
not the meme. The
excuse me,
the
the
term
meme.
kung flu, maybe.
Right. Sorry. The sorry. Yeah. The rhetoric and the misinformation of the kung flu
Yeah.
has resulted in those things. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Meme. Yeah. The memes didn't start the fire. Um. But
Yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, we can point to that, and we see a direct or not a direct, but an indirect line between
mhm,
when Donald Trump started throwing it around
mhm.
and when the attacks started happening. And I get that, and I think Daktar gets that too. I hope he does.
That's the thing, is that, like as you said, neither of us should assume what he's thinking, because we don't have their apology or their recognizing of of the stuff in front of them. That's just the
I should
implication
have
that you
taken
got.
screenshots or something. But then again, I
Yeah.
don't really want to. I don't really want to harp on too many of the specifics, even though we already did that for 2 hours. Uh,
Yeah.
I just
No,
think like,
no, we can get away from that, because really what it's tying into is that, okay, if there's a two-way street to freedom of speech and association, then what about the enforcement of stuff? So let's use a different example. So Spotify, right, is signed a deal with Joe Rogan, right, to now host his podcast.
yeah,
And Joe Rogan, and I'm somebody who does this as well. We will, when he says stuff or when he associates with, interviews certain people and allows them to spout misinformation, dangerous rhetoric and shit like that, blah blah blah, the fans rile up and say shit. Some of the I don't know what group of people it is in the company, they've made complaints, but I guess like the real hard, the real high up brass have,
yeah.
according to
They
Rogan,
pulled episodes and stuff.
according to Rogan, well, the thing is, they have pulled episodes, but they said overall that the brass are, they feel, basically they feel Rogan, that yeah, they've had to take down certain episodes and shit, but that overall the brass and everything, the real shot callers are kind of like, they're like, hey, we're more on your, basically what Rogan has said is that they're more on his side than on the you critics and everything. And look, and
Okay.
this is just happened. Everybody has different ideologies, and this is just what it is, right? So, I've enjoyed Rogan in the past and stuff, but what has disappointed me, and what disappoints with so many people, is that, like, with his most recent Alex Jones episodes, is
Knew we
that,
were going here.
and the thing is, it could just be, it could be Alex Jones, it could be Gavin McInnes, it could be, um,
Milo
Milo
Yiannopoulos.
Yiannopoulos. It could be fucking Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, who I just made a post um, about today, or I just saw a good post
Wasn't
about
he
it.
supposed to have Chappelle on? That's what I heard through the grapevine. Like, yo,
Chappelle.
he's. Do you
Jesus
not
Christ.
like Dave
I,
Chappelle?
no, I mean I like Dave. No, I was just laughing because of just what the interaction would be like. Because I mean they're
Yeah.
cool because they're cool and everything, but Chappelle is just so. And I guess this is kind of getting to the point is that Joe Rogan, because of his admitted, when you can't just go. It's one thing for me and you, and I don't even like it at this level because quite a few people do look at my shit enough yeah, I get a handful of people that watch the shit, right?
Yeah.
But again, to me, the spreading of misinformation and the dangerous rhetoric or shit at any level, to me, it needs to be confronted, and especially when you have a large platform and we know the demographics of the people that like somebody like Joe Rogan caters to, or like Alex Jones, or like the people a part of this intellectual dark web and the new conservatism of the day and everything, right? We know what they
Mhm.
associate with, and so so you can't just throw up your hands and just be like, oh, I'm just having a relaxed conversation with my friends. No, that's when y'all go and y'all get high together and y'all have dinner together and you just have conversations amongst yourselves in a restaurant or at somebody's home or whatever the fuck, right?
Mhm.
That's a private conversation. When you're having a conversation that's specifically a piece of content and it's going to be viewed by a whole bunch of fucking people, it's that you
Yeah.
are a stream of information.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not, and you can't just wipe it and you can't just wave it off. Um, yeah, you can't just wave it off. You know what I'm
But
saying?
can you?
Well, the thing is that
Can you though?
the thing is, yeah, you can, but that doesn't give legitimacy to you waving it off. You waving off somebody who makes the association, who clearly makes a connection that, hey, this person spreads conspiracy theories, this person spreads misinformation, dangerous rhetoric and shit, and it's been linked to such
Yeah.
and such. To just wave it off and be like, whatever and shit, that doesn't justify your reaction. That's you either refusing to confront the information or not being able to admit to the actual implications of it. To
Did
me,
you watch
waving, yeah.
the full Alex Jones
Waving
episode?
it off. No, I didn't watch the whole thing. I've watched previous ones.
Yeah,
But
me
the thing is,
too.
I'm not even just talking about Jones right
Oh,
now.
bro.
I'm talking about just kind of general, from
Joe
stuff
Rogan
that I've heard.
guests.
Yeah. There's just been a or
I
even
think Joe
there's
Rogan
just
has done a decent job of keeping some of those people in check, at least when it comes to the live podcasts and stuff like that. But what I was gonna say is, do you remember when Alex Jones didn't he like get Eddie Bravo in a headlock or some shit? Did you see that one?
I don't think I saw that
I,
one. I think the only one I've seen of him was another time when he was just by himself with Rogan, because I know he's been
okay,
on there like what, 5 6 times.
I just remember one time I woke up and I used to
Mm-hmm.
just like I would wake up and I would turn my TV on. This is when I was living with my homie Brendan. Have you met Brendan? No, you haven't met Brendan yet. But I think you guys would get along. You guys are both like level-headed motherfuckers. Like, uh, uh, so when I was living over there, I would wake up and just because I had my TV in my room. Nowadays I don't actually. I took the TV out of the room because it's like it's a distraction. It makes it harder to fall asleep and that sort of thing. And I don't want to wake up and immediately just be staring at a screen. But back then, I just remember waking up and just to the notification like Joe Rogan is going live with Alex Jones and Eddie Bravo, and turning it
Mm-hmm.
on, and it was just literally them mid argument.
Mm-hmm.
Funniest shit I've ever seen, dude. In terms of like just being thrust into that right when you wake up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
Next,
no, that's very. I mean, no, that's. I mean, yeah, no, it's funny, And the thing is, it may have just been a demonstration and shit, and him just
yeah,
horsing
they were
around.
toying around it. They were toying around
Yeah.
the shit. I didn't see the most
It's made up
recent
of great
one.
memes.
It was Tim Dillon and Alex
Yes.
Jones.
Yeah.
I think I saw
Oh
the
God,
first 5 minutes of it.
Tim Dillon was such a little fucking fanboy. Like oh God, he was
Yeah.
just such a little fucking fanboy. It
Oh,
was.
and then did you see? Speaking of Tim Dillon, did you see the election day coverage with them with Tim Dillon and Kyle Kalinske?
No, I've heard some clips though. They were
Oh, you gotta watch it, bro.
actually this kind of ties into my point very well. Is
Okay.
that when you wave something off, it either shows you a unwillingness or inability to actually deal with the information being presented, or it's a reflection of you really knowing what it's about, but you're bullshitting. And so that example you gave of the election coverage had a moment that I've heard multiple times now, because Kyle Kalinske was also right, and there was a moment right when Texas was confirmed for Trump, right? And Joe Rogan is heard like, "Ooh, yeah, go Trump," saying turn it. It's like, oh, liberals almost fucked it up. Too many liberals like me coming here and voting blue almost fucked it up, but we got him in. And Tim Dillon was also joining in and shit. And then a few seconds passed, and Kyle Kalinske was trying to be like, "Hey guys,
it might not be over here.
It might not be over yet." And they were just like, "Oh yeah, no, we got it. Fuck, goopy liberals almost fucked it up." And then after a few seconds, they say, "Oh, but we're actually not. Oh, but we're not. But we're not actually rooting for somebody. We're completely in the middle. We're completely neutral and shit." And it's like, okay, yeah, on one hand, you could be said, okay, it's a joke, but then also we know that Joe Rogan has literally said that he's voting for Trump anyway. So it's like, so when he said that
he would vote with Texans, kind of thing. Like he was like, I don't want to come here and fuck your guys' shit up. He kind of was like, I mean, he was being lighthearted.
You know what's so funny? Yeah. You know what's funny is that what was the insult that he and so many people make about the left and about social justice warriors and everything? Oh, they're just following their tribe. They're just following the shit that's been passed up from their tribe. And then what did he do? And then what did he just say? Oh, I'll vote with the way Texans vote. I'll follow the general fucking consensus of where I'm living. I'll follow the tribe.
Yeah. Basically, he was like, he was basically what's the word? Like appeasing his like the people that are local to where he's at. But I mean, I don't know, man. I still got love for Joe.
I'm not saying not to have love, but what I'm saying is and this ties in what I was saying before, is that
what's up, Tony?
It's one thing. It's like when we laugh at something, the laughter is spontaneous, but then you have to ask, why am I laughing at something, or why did I find humor in this thing? What is the context for that shit? Because somebody who is, say you make a certain joke about, say you make a joke about Jewish people, right? And it's not something, and say it's playing into the trope of, most, a lot of Jews are good with money and they're socially awkward and, saying stuff like that, right? Now say that you're somebody who's never actually grown up around Jews. Imagine this is the first piece of satire or jokes or humor that really struck you and shit, right? Or the first time you even seen a representation of Jewish people, right? Yeah. This is going to leave a lasting impression on you. And even if it may not be one that's negative and makes you go out and has necessarily violent or bigoted implications, you're still making a widely discredited stereotype about a group of people who are just as diverse in how they and who and what they are and how they express themselves, and have been throughout history and shit. So it's why the whole saying of like, oh, even positive stereotypes are still negative, because you're still looking at people through a very narrow kind of lens. And so a narrow lens. And so again, with the thing of people saying like, oh, it was just a joke, I was just laughing it off. It's like, but it's like, okay, it's every joke and humor and shit comes from a certain context. So I'm asking you, do you understand the context? And so if somebody just waves it off, then what other options do I have to think that either you are unable or just unwilling to grapple with the implications of the shit, or you actually know, you agree with it, but you're using the whole tongue-in-cheek, you're deflecting, And to me, it's like, there's no middle ground there. There's no compromise, because the only way that it's one.
I was about to say, what if it's neither?
One or the other. What else would it be though? If somebody, because the thing is, if I come to you and I say,
it could be genuine ambivalence.
But the thing is, why wouldn't you care when you recognize?
Obviously, it all depends on what we're talking about. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Because even if it was ambivalence, that could still be unwillingness, like you were saying.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying, is that like, I don't, to me, I don't see any other option. I either if you're not willing to explain yourself or be like, okay, break it down for me further, then I'm like.
Are we talking about Joe Rogan and supporting Trump still?
No, I'm really just making a grander statement about about the association that people make with ideas and shit. Just like I said, people can go on my post and think that I'm just a stanky, dirty commie and everything. Even though I'm not communist, I think they got some good ideas, but I'm not a communist. But I can but I at least I recognize that I'll have to deal with that, and I'm always ready to break it down, I'm not going to get offended or just be like, it's beneath me to explain, or I don't care, or if you don't get the
Okay.
joke, I'm not going to explain it to you, because I'm
Yeah.
somebody who understands this shit, not just as a consumer, but also as a creator and an observer, that this stuff has implications beyond just being a throwaway comment or a joke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
Um,
and
and that,
I'm inclined to agree with you. I think I know. Well, again, this is all depending on what we're talking about. But yeah, like I agree with you. This is kind of reminding me of a funny moment that I want to mention. Maybe you saw it in one of the clips
mhm.
during the election coverage, which was that basically Kyle's there in front of his laptop, like, let
Mhm.
me, data, and Joe at one point is kind of like basically like, bro, you're killing our vibe. So
Oh, the fact checking is killing our vibe. That must be why he keeps Jamie off camera, right?
yeah, right.
All this
Yeah,
fact
yeah,
checking is, but here's the thing is, yeah, this it's a, yeah, we laugh at it, but at the same time, this actually kind of justifies my point, that what he
okay,
is doing is that he's expressing that he knows better, or that he recognizes the importance of what's being done, and how it's more important to rely on data than whatever Rogan's looking at, or not looking at. Um,
yeah,
but but that's the whole thing, and it's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, I hate to think how much stupid shit he would get away with if he didn't have a Jamie there to correct him in the moments that he does.
yeah, right.
Because sometimes, because there's been plenty of times when he has to make a full 180 on something he says just moments later, and it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I know, not it's like, goddamn it, could you not have looked this up for 10 seconds before you made such a strong, saying, opinion about the shit?
Yeah,
I mean, that's my thing. And to me, it's like giving the examples, whether we're talking about the example from, that happened earlier, or Joe Rogan, or any of these. To me, um, everyone is able to, and should, everyone is able to make a criticism. Everyone is able to be as petty as they want, to try to take their shots at you as they want, and to try to get the people whom associate with you to disassociate with you. Yeah, every platform, every group or organization, or whatever, has the option is the ones to enforce that. But honestly, there's no, this whole idea of like of who has the ability to enforce it and shit. It really, what it comes down to is whomever can get their fucking way, whomever can apply enough pressure to get their way. The government has a monopoly of force, what I'm saying, be the police state and the military and the complex and shit. It's not that we just willingly give them power. It's because they've monopolized it for themselves, to where they can't be, competed against.
Here's
Um,
my problem with this
domestic.
approach. It's when you're lying to do it. Now, obviously, you brought up that you looked at that meme that we were talking about before as misinformation, but is it also not misinformation to call Dactar a racist? I know we moved past this a little bit, but we're
I
kind
don't
of like,
I don't know, because, like I said, there's a different. Like I said, to me, that one. Yeah, I said it was misinformation, and you recognize that it was also dangerous rhetoric. Um,
yeah,
so to me, it's like, so no, that isn't the threshold to call it racist, but that is the threshold to call it out and to call it something, and to be like, hey, or
yeah,
to call it those things. And for
mm-hmm.
him, or this individual, to, when they recognize it, not so much apologizing that anybody got offended and apologizing for offending, because that's not really what it's about. It's about spreading information that we know has been used in this negative way.
Yeah.
Um, that's the whole crux of it.
Damn,
And
we
so,
reopened the can of worms. Why did we?
well, no,
Ah.
well, no, this all ties.
I
Well,
know,
no,
I know, I know. I'm just fucking around. It,
this all ties into it, because this doesn't even
mm-hmm.
just apply to them. Really, what this just means is that, like, everything can be categorized and everything can be labeled and give a different level of priority. When these type of things happen, there's an assumption that the people whom are the most persistent in doing this shit represent everybody who is showing everybody who is agreeing with it. Like I said, do I agree with the calling out part? Yes. I don't necessarily agree with the part of calling it racist, because that one thing didn't represent racism to me. But the thing is, again, the people who were doing it, who made that, and hell, it could have just been one people out of the thousands or millions of those, of them. It could have just been one person or a small group of people. And where
Mm-hmm.
other people agreed with different levels of the shit. Just like I said, I'm okay with calling shit out, just like I said with the Rogan shit, or anybody, or even left-wing people or progressive people. It's just that they're less likely to do that because within that culture and within that ideology, there's great importance put on being critical, fact-checking, and being sure that even when you're being absurd and being dark or being edgy or whatever, that you're not spreading bad information, misinformation, dangerous rhetoric, stuff
I
like
see
that.
bad information. I'll go with bad information, but misinformation, at least with the Dactar thing. But
Well,
let's
again,
go
I'm
back
not
to
again.
Kyle.
Yeah,
I wanted
again,
to
like
go
I said,
back to Kyle
I wasn't stuck
Kalinske.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring up something that I saw before we went live. Did you hear about Trump firing or replacing like Pentagon officials? I think it was today.
Yes, that's been in the last few weeks. That's been the biggest story. He's basically replaced all of the civilian leadership and replacing them with loyalists.
Well, today it was specifically some Pentagon officials, but
Okay.
the other ones it was like Esper, I think, Defense Secretary, and the other guy, I don't remember his name, but I just wanted to get your take on it, I guess, because I know Kyle Kalinske was kind of like, I don't know, Kyle
Scary as
Kalinske
shit.
actually gave him the benefit of the doubt, or it's not that he gave Trump the benefit of the doubt, it's that he posed a possible scenario in which Trump's actions were actually somewhat justifiable. Not that he was saying that's what it was or what it wasn't, but that he was, it was like a hypothetical. So he's kind of saying like, look, obviously this looks bad, and obviously we have very little reason to trust that this is a good move that Trump's making.
We have no reason to trust. He's already go ahead.
No, but what Kyle Kalinske was saying, and I thought this was a long shot, but I thought it was interesting, was that either this is, and that this was why it was so interesting. The disparity between the two options was so stark. He's basically saying, Kyle was saying that, well, either Trump is staging a coup, or maybe he just wants to get out of Afghanistan, and that's why he's getting rid of some of the people that were like obstacles in the way of Trump doing something to close out his legacy, quote unquote. And maybe he was replacing them with people who would actually allow him to do that.
It sounds like he might have been being facetious.
He wasn't being facetious so much as he was, I guess he was maybe just, what's the word here? I don't know. It's like he was just weighing, I don't know. I don't know how to word it.
I think Kyle, the reason why this thing is, and the thing is, once again, this is where context comes in, because this is not an isolated thing. First of all, anybody who's been following his record on war has known that he has only expanded wars, increased drone strikes, increased military action. He's made no effort to actually, pull, troops out of any of these.
Well, he yo-yoed the troops, just like Obama did, supposedly, right?
Well,
like bring them down, send them more out, bring it down again.
He basically has moved them. He just basically moved them to different.
It's all political hullabaloo.
But the thing is that like he, again, and like Obama, he said he was going to take shit down. So it's like, no, we know that he's just as full of shit on that measure. So we have no reason to think that it is that point. And I think Kyle kind of knows this, which is why I think he was being facetious with that. In that he's to me, it sounds like he's just trying to be lighthearted at the other end of the fact. I will, but the thing is that like I feel what it is that like he's trying to add some lightheartedness and kind of laugh off the fact that he knows
he does that. He does that often, but in this situation,
right. Well, hold on. Let me finish, dude. Is that but the reason why he did that and he framed it like that is because he's trying to add some lightheartedness to the fact that it's clear that Trump is conducting a fucking coup. Because if he wanted to really bring down, he literally is. He's been contesting the.
No, I'm talking about Kyle Kalinske.
He's not doing what?
He wasn't. I don't think he was being facetious. Like I really don't. I actually think.
Right.
Okay, but if you watch the clip.
Right, but I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that right now. What I'm saying is that, that's debatable, but to me, given what I've heard about Kyle and his sentiments about war and his reporting on Trump and the war and everything before, to me that sounds like he's
Yeah,
being facetious. Because the first thing that would come to mind is that like this could have been the very first thing that he did when he got into office, and
sure.
again, that has not been his track record. So it's like I don't have any. So to me, I'm gonna go with it sounds like Kyle was being facetious, and I will check it out later, and I'm sure I'll
And
be
to be
vindicated by
clear,
that.
I can
But
see why you would say that or think that, and especially based on just like the what little information I gave you. But you saw, maybe not in my eyes because you can't see my eyes, but you saw the look of incredulousness that I gave when I was kind of like, I couldn't believe that Kyle was talking about that, because he really was saying it in a semi-serious way, and it wasn't like, because he does do that sometimes where he'll kind of facetiously talk about like giving someone the benefit of the doubt, but really he's using that to juxtapose or to further highlight the
the real thing,
yeah,
the
the
gravity of
darkness.
the other thing. Right, exactly. No, and again,
He does
because
do that.
yeah, exactly, and right, because this is the context of my understanding of having also watched him. So it's like even though I haven't seen this
Hmm.
clip, I have the context of knowing his ideology and how he usually talks about stuff. So that's why I feel
Yeah.
confident in that assessment. But the really what I'm pointing to is that
I'm telling you,
um,
man, it wasn't that. But yeah, you got to watch the clip.
for sure. But in any case, well, actually, I forgot the point because I mean, I guess that really was the center. Oh, but see, here's the thing. This is the way in which they differ in their approach to that stuff. Whereas a Joe Rogan might look at that and just take it at face value, like, oh, he might just be trying to take people out of Afghanistan or take the troops out of Afghanistan and stop the war and shit. Good on Trump and shit. Kyle Kalinske at least is at least presenting um, he's at least
A
presenting
spectrum.
a spectrum. He's at least providing that scenario and giving um and again, like I said, it's again, given what Kyle said, because the thing is, if Kyle isn't being facetious, then
We
then
still
what else?
don't have a
Then
reason
what
to
else?
believe that Trump is actually doing that.
Wait, say that. So you don't think that Trump is? Wait, so you don't actually think Trump is trying to do a coup? Oh, I'm
Oh, a
sorry,
coup?
I'm sorry, doing the war. I'm sorry, my bad, my bad. I misunderstood.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
no,
thought you were
I
trying
just
to say
meant,
the war. The war.
yeah, no,
The yeah, Brandon. No, but that's
I
what I'm
was trying
saying.
to finish your thought because it sounded
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
were
yeah,
going
yeah.
to say that even if he wasn't being facetious, I thought you were going to say we still don't have a reason to believe that Trump would, bring the troops
Do that.
back
Oh
home or
yes, yeah,
whatever.
yeah. My bad. Yeah, my bad. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, exactly. So I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah, I mean, to
I
me,
couldn't
that's
believe Kyle was saying what he was saying, to be honest. But I don't, he,
why is that?
about Afghanistan. But he did definitely. I want to say that he bookended the segment by saying like, "This is bad. This is very bad. Like,
Right. So
this
I mean,
looks
there you go.
bad. This
Right. So there
smells
you. So
bad."
yeah. So I mean, there you go. So there you go. Right there. And so to me, it's not so difficult. Everything is to me, it's very easy to once you get familiar with a particular person's message and the context of who they are and how they do things, it's like, because you can't just always jump to like, oh, this was just a one-off, this was a thing, when it's like they have a track record of expressing ideas in a certain way or presenting information in a certain way or talking about ideas in a certain, framework and stuff. It's the same way when people want to talk about, uh, healthcare and everything. If you ask most Americans, over 70, I mean, this is according to Fox News, over 70% of their respondents say that they want um, subsidized healthcare from the government. They want
Medicare for all.
they want something like Medicare for all. But the thing is that like it gets demonized by being associated with communism and socialism and shit, right? And
Mm-hmm.
people getting free handouts and shit. When it's like, no, it'll be part of the taxes that we pay instead of you having to just save up a big part of your money um, for your
To
health
pay out
insurance and then
middleman.
pay out middlemen and shit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so
Dude, it blows
and
my
it's
mind how many people I have to tell, like, look, you don't understand how this works. Like,
right because
like,
they're not choosing, and this is the parallel I'm trying to make, is that people just take that at face value and just go with that and be like, oh well, this is the way I feel, and I'm more than happy to express that opinion. But it's like the opinion of people whom are defending Medicare for all versus those who are opposed to it have different value, and it's because one usually feels a greater sense of obligation of digging deeper and understanding the further context and details about a subject Whereas the other side is often just about playing off of whatever emotional appeal or whatever trigger their first response. They don't give a second one to it. And so, and a common tactic that's used is people will like to say, oh, it's just a joke, or I don't like it seriously, or I'm just sharing it, what I'm saying, to put it out there. But it's just like, okay, but why? But the thing is, why are you sharing it to put it out there? You're sharing it to put it out there because you're hoping it elicits reactions from others, or that other people provide insights, or that it at least you get other people to agree with you and like it and shit. I think it's fair to say that anybody who's actually posting shit and participating in social media, you are you're looking for likes, you're looking for shares, you're looking for interaction, you're looking for that exchange of information and communication. Otherwise you wouldn't be, or you're at least wanting to peer into it and observe it, engage with it to some degree. So it's like, I guess really to summarize is that I feel like everybody is able to add their scrutiny. That's what's happening now, and that everybody is welcome to try to, quote unquote, cancel, you. It's not a matter of it being the right or the wrong thing. It's just being a matter of there's always going to be somebody that's anti whatever you are, and that when it comes to stuff like anti-racism, when it comes to stuff like racism, when it comes to stuff like homophobia, when it comes to stuff like being anti-science and shit like that, and sharing misinformation and shit and just waving it off as a joke. To me, I'm like, that stuff is deserving of rebuke. I think people who share that information and recognize it as shit, or excuse me, the people who share that information, that you are confronted with only that you're either confronted with the option of shutting the fuck up and never, posting again.
Hey,
or never
Matt
again.
just
Hey, what's going
joined.
on, Matt? Hey, what's going on, Matt? You're actually catching us towards the end of part 3 of this shit. But
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear, bro. But I was gonna ask you, so are you gonna post these all individually, or like, how does that
post what?
work? These
Yeah. They only
videos.
go up. Yeah, they only go up individually. From
Right, right.
on IG, you only have the option of immediately sharing it, or sending it to somebody, or deleting it. And so what I do, but there's
They
also
don't let you download it anymore?
no, but the thing is, there is a downloader. It's a separate
Right.
page or
Yeah.
whatever. But you can't download it, and so that's what I've been doing to spread it to post it everywhere else. But they will be separate because they're an hour each. So
Hell yeah.
well,
Yeah, I don't know,
this
man.
one's only over 30 minutes so far.
Okay. I was wanting to start a podcast. Actually, I used to do a podcast with Matt, as you know. But
Oh yeah,
as
I
you
mean, I was on there
joined
once.
us,
Yeah.
but I don't know, man. Like the more I kept thinking about having to edit shit every week, I was just like, fuck this. I just felt kind of overwhelmed, and I felt like I was taking away from my creative juices that I wanted to put into other things that I cared more about, had more passion for.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like where we're headed with this, and I think that definitely we could always make this a regular thing, and to me this is a lot more casual, and where I don't have to edit anything, I don't have to think too hard about it. I'm cool to talk with somebody like you off the cuff, because I don't feel, we see eye to eye, I would say, on most things. But I don't feel that level of like, not even scrutiny. That's not even the right word. What word am I looking for here? Like,
But I scrutinize like a motherfucker. Then.
I mean, scrutinize away, but yeah, I feel like we have a good vibe, a good chemistry here going, and we should get Matt in on this shit too someday. We got quite a few people joining.
We don't
names
forget
I don't recognize, but
yeah, well, don't forget that well, Matt, he's gonna have to come to the fact that I even before this pandemic and shit, that I've been hitting him up plenty, and he wasn't getting back to me. He was tied up with some other shit. I was trying to become more consistent in doing stuff with him, but I was like, damn, I gotta find somebody else because he kind of fell off.
he does a lot of broadcasting as well.
Yeah. I mean, he's got his own cast. He's got his own like stuff that he's doing reviews. Been reviewing some movies and concerts and stuff, music videos and stuff. So yeah, go check out MG.
We did one of those.
And this type of shit is also an acquired taste because, it touches on a lot of different shit. Some shit, get very analytical and deep into and full of information that other people may not, really have at hand. But I kind of feel like that's where a lot of this shit is going, or has been going. Obviously, is that people, everybody now is using their platform to speak, and their platform to criticize, and their platform to analyze, and their platform, basically it's that all spaces are shared spaces. In a funny way, we've actually ironically almost kind of moved into a form of communism, but through techno capitalism, with all the social media and shit, and the way it's polarized people, because it's kind of turned every space, from your home to your phone to your workplace to grocery stores to the bank to the just a neighborhood park or sidewalk, has turned every place of existence, every plane of human existence, into a battleground for ideas and values and shit. And on one hand, while I obviously thrive off of that and enjoy that shit, I don't enjoy living in that state 24/7. And so that's why I understand. And so that's why the thing is, that's why I get the sentiment of people being too riled up and jumping to some conclusions too much. I definitely understand that. But overall, I see that as a consequence of people feeling let down by our institutions, that have been dropping the ball, or have been only been very choosy, picky in the stories and ideas and values which they promote. And so to me, I don't see it as inherently a good or a bad thing. To me, I just see it as certain people have certain preferences, and they get together and they make it harder for detractors to occupy the same space. And that's just how most people are. That's not ideally how I think it should be in all circumstances, but when it comes to certain subjects, like I said again, racism, homophobia, misogyny, all that shit, to me, I feel like it's important to nip that shit in the bud, whether we're talking about somebody who has, their posts only get 1 or 2 likes and shit, to people who get millions and millions of views and retweets and shit.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like,
what's up, Palagonis John Paul?
To me, it's all a part of the game. And just like I have to be aware of and that's why, like, some of my previous posts and everything, or even now, I'm covering my hair. Before I was like, in some of my previous, podcasts and shit, I was like covering my, streams and shit. I was covering my face, covering like even up to my eyebrows and shit. And it's like, I understand to a certain point, people want to see your face, and it's like, you can't just, live behind a mask forever. Or at least I'm not, even Daft Punk and MF Doom and them have to take off their masks sometimes, even though we don't.
Are you saying that you just wanted to maintain some privacy?
I do want to maintain some privacy, and I want to give myself some buffer, so that way people aren't just walking down the street or just catch me in the, store. Because like, you don't need to have like 1 million people following you, to catch you, or to run up on you, or to be like, hey, you're so and so. You know what I'm saying? It's a small fucking world. It only takes one person to be like, hey, I know you from such and such. And to me, I'm not really with and this has always been a thing ever since I knew I wanted to be an artist and shit, is that like, I've never been so much about the fame, or people like running up on me and knowing my face too much. It's like, I just want to create good shit, be rewarded for it, and be able to maintain some secrecy. And so it's like that. So to me, grappling with creating content and participating in these spaces, this is why my attitude is the way that it is. It's not a matter of what's right or wrong. It's a matter of recognizing how people behave, and that every battleground is being turned into a space for competition of these ideas and values. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm able to choose, or that I'm going to give myself as many different options for how I engage.
Yeah. That's another thing about, like, another reason why I was like reluctant to actually launch my own podcast and stuff. I did launch like an episode 0 and stuff. Like, I just basically just walked and talked through my neighborhood.
Did we do it? Because did we end up doing?
And you and I did one, and then I basically did like 3 episodes. I did 2 remote episodes like this, like through IG Live, and I did one actually in person with the comedian. His name's Kyle Gridley.
I know Kyle Gridley.
Oh yeah, funny motherfucker. Are you guys like friends on Instagram too as well?
No, we've known each other. I mean, I just knew him through the scene and everything. I doubt he remembers me much. We're friendly.
Yeah, he came over to the house, and we just sat on the patio and just chopped it up. But I don't know. I was like, it's a number of things. One, I already talked about this. I didn't really want to deal with the editing process, right? Because for me, I don't know, the editing.
I'll edit for you.
Well, shit, bro. That would make a world of a difference because that
I
really
want to see.
is
I want
like,
to see it. I want to see and hear it, man. And plus, I want
okay,
my
cool.
shit. And plus, I want my interview to come out, especially. No
Yeah,
lie.
and I can still launch that stuff. I don't think it's too like time or untimely, I guess,
Yeah.
to the point where we shouldn't put it out. But the other thing is I was focusing on my album, and then
Hmm.
like you were talking about like maintaining some privacy and stuff like that. It's like I didn't want to be known. Like the goal wasn't to be known for having a podcast, and I felt that if I tried
Hmm.
to start sharing it and pushing it out there and
Hmm.
stuff, that people, and this is me being maybe insecure about how other people perceive me or judge me,
Hmm.
but if I'm being honest, it was like I didn't want to be pigeonholed as, oh, that's another podcaster, and there's like a fucking 1,000 million podcasts out there already. But
Right. But
but
the
yeah,
thing is
given the
that like
right
the same thing could be said
circumstances,
about. Funny enough, that actually is a better argument for why you should focus on podcasting as opposed to music, because music is a much longer standing platform with much more established competition than a podcast. Podcasts just happen to be famous and easy for anybody to do, but
yeah,
music is a much more long standing tradition with more people participating in it, who
yeah,
also
music
who
is the
also
long
who also
game
don't who also don't. Well, I wouldn't even say that. I was just making
for
the
me.
connection. Right, well, right, but what I'm saying is that like because I play music as well, I make music as
Mhm.
well, right? And so the thing is, I include it in my on the social media and everything. Not as much part of my podcast, even though that could be a thing, but I use the interconnectedness between those things. I don't get upset that like, oh, maybe somebody only wants to know you for your podcast, or maybe and that's okay, and they have that, and that's people who are supporting you. And then there are people who are going to be like, oh, hey, I wonder what else this guy is doing, or I
Yeah,
wonder what else he's into beyond podcasting. And then they find your music, and now they're fans of both of your shit. Or maybe over
yeah,
time they become more fans of your music and leave behind the podcast. So the thing is, all of those options, all of those are options, but it's like you never know what's going to happen unless you put the shit out there. Just like you never know if somebody is just going to listen to you, to your shit, and be like, hey, this is trash, and move on. That your album or whatever that you put all this painstaking focus on turned out to be of nothing. Basically, my attitude is um, just like the phrase "one man's trash is another man's treasure."
yeah.
We have to look at that in the opposite way as well. That one man's treasure is another man's trash.
Hmm.
Um, is that what is very beholden to you and very important and special to you, and what you put a lot of work into, um, will be written off by many people as just being, um, another another brick in the wall, or just another, saying piece of dung in the pile, in the greater pile of dung. But the thing is that like you have to be willing to deal with that humiliation and the criticism and shit. Um,
Yeah,
or people, I mean, people have told me, people trying to make comments about like, oh, you should use a different microphone, or that you should, do this or that. And it's like, well, I'm experimenting, I'm trying different stuff, and I'm trying to learn stuff on my own and everything. It's like, yeah, at a certain point, I appreciate the advice, but at the same time, it's like, can you give any other, it's like, but at least I'm trying, and I'm trying to offer something that is rewarding, that's rewarding in spite of the limitations in the, strictly in the quality. But it's like the longer you
mm,
do something, the better you're gonna get. And then once you get better at the actual like dressing it up and making it presentable and making it slick and everything, it's like, okay, what's the actual content there? And then that's when it gives more, and then that's when it gives people motivation to go back and dig through your shit prior. It's like, but you
mm.
never get to that point if you don't. If you never get to that point if you don't, put something out and take that chance of like on yourself, no matter what game it is. Because there's people that get into every game, every type of business, every type of discipline or shit, and it's just like, oh, it's already established, it's already blah 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 blah. People didn't think Instagram and Twitter and Reddit and all these sites and shit were going to be important. They didn't think them shit's going to be able to make money, and they basically replaced traditional media. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Mainstream media. So it's like you can't ever really say um, it's too late to get in any game, because you never know what the next disruptive force is going to be. But you also are never going to be able to have any sort of success or progress or even a reference point for yourself of where to go next if you don't put something out there at all.
yeah.
You
That
know?
was a good little pep talk, bro. I think I should put out some of those episodes or all of those episodes. Really, only three, I think. Maybe, yeah.
That's a good amount,
You,
dude. I mean, I
Kyle,
had, yeah.
and I did one with Expression the MC actually, who jumped on on our live. I think he was on episode 2 that we did an hour
Part
ago.
two. Okay.
But I was going
Hell
to
yeah.
ask you, what do you use to edit?
I use a excuse me. I use a software called Active Presenter,
Huh.
and
Okay.
there are better ones. It's just one of the ones I found that was free and everything, and
Okay.
I've gotten comfortable using it. But there's plenty of free ones, and then for the sound, if I'm when I'm recording sound separately, I just use Reaper.
Reaper?
Yeah,
Okay. I've been using DaVinci Resolve. Have you heard of that one?
I have not. Is it free?
It's a free video editing software, and it has like almost, I would say, almost all the same features that like something like After Effects, Adobe After Effects has. All the
Okay.
ones that you would want and need, and that are fairly simple and easy to use. But they also have like pretty in-depth like graphic stuff. Like I made a sting um, for like just like a Ace Woe whatever like
Mm-hmm.
logo type of thing, like a 10-second thing.
Yeah.
It's on my page. I don't know. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe other people have seen it. Maybe not. But um, I used DaVinci, and I thought it came out pretty cool. Like for considering that I just on a whim was like, oh, I'll see what I can make for like a logo, and
Mm-hmm.
then an hour later I had something tangible. But but yeah, I mean, I would like to check out that other one. What did you call it again? Not Reaper, the other one.
Active Presenter. As a matter of fact,
Active
I'm gonna go and
Presenter.
I'll type it right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that one too and see if it's any more like fluid because
Yeah,
yeah,
you gotta
DaVinci
find one that
Resolve.
fits for you.
Yeah, I like DaVinci Resolve. There's a lot that you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not DaVinci Resolve's fault. It's me. I just don't like how tedious editing becomes, and
Yeah.
I get overwhelmed. I get like anxiety thinking about having to sit down and look through an hour's worth of material. And I know myself. I know that I can't just go here, upload the hour-long thing, and then polish at the beginning, polish at the end, and render. Like that's not how. As much as I wish I could do that, and I
Mm-hmm.
probably should just learn how to do that and
Yeah.
discipline myself in that way or whatever. I
Yeah.
guess you could
I
call it
mean that's
discipline.
I mean that really is all it is. It's just getting yourself into a new pattern of doing shit. Just like in the beginning, no musician really wants to practice. There's no real joy in practicing most of the time. But you
What's up,
develop a routine.
Shema
What's going on, yo?
Gonzalez?
We got
Yeah.
13 minutes left in this one, by the way.
Okay.
But no, I think it's to me, I look at creativity and like editing and shit. To me, I look at it as in the beginning, at the instance, yeah, there's the moment of spontaneity or the moment of inspiration or the moment of just bliss where you're
Yeah.
just like there's just the rapture of the idea or there's the rapture of creating shit and recording stuff. And the We Was lives, the IG lives and shit. I don't really edit those. I just usually just upload them from what they are. But my
Yeah.
other content and stuff, I will, edit. And it's like it does become tedious. But the thing is that I also develop a certain workflow and a certain way of how I do things. So that way, like, yeah, the first couple of casts to edit, it was a pain in the ass. But then after a while, it's like I get a fluid, um, way of how I'm doing things. There's a thing that I do in my podcast where I frequently say, okay, now this ties into the next subject or this moves into the next subject. I do that as a vocal cue to myself to know, okay, I just ended a section and this will
Yeah.
be, say from this range or whatever. And that's when and then I
Cool.
give people the time and I give people the timestamps. And so it's just something that I've developed to be aware of when I'm doing this shit. So that way to make the editing process better for myself later. So that way I'm not just skimming randomly through every bit and seeing, where I stopped and
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So it's little things like that that you have that you that yeah that you do just have to kind of keep yourself immersed in. It's also why I wouldn't say why, but it's like I also primarily listen to the content that I listen to primarily isn't even primary content. So I don't really listen to a lot of like movies and art and I read plenty of articles and shit, but a lot of the stuff that I tend to talk about or post is derivative. It's referencing to something that somebody else has pointed out or their own
Right.
analysis, and I'm and I will go back and check the primary source and everything, but it's still usually in reference to the subtext that somebody else is offering, and then I give my further subtext, right?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, it's just certain things that you as after a while you just get acclimated to keeping certain things in mind. You get acclimated to talking about things in a certain way. You get acclimated into certain behaviors, and just over
Yeah.
time, you just become more efficient in those things. To where now
Yeah.
it's like,
Don't get me wrong,
to,
bro. Like I'm actually pretty. I think I'm pretty good at editing. Like I have a good eye for things, and I have a good. Um, I don't know what the term would be, but I guess uh, like being able to visualize how things should look or sound, and then executing it. You know, like I'm
Mhm.
pretty good at that, but again, it's just actually sitting down to do it becomes so overwhelming, and I'm just like,
Hey,
ah.
like I said, you could, hey, like I said, you could pass it on to me.
Word.
Um, and
I might take you up on that. But one thing
yeah,
though, let's discuss the possibility of doing something in that studio because that we
okay,
talked about before.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
should talk. We should talk to C3. He'd be another
Hmm.
good like co-host or whatever, or even just a
Hmm.
guest potentially. Matt would be a good guest or someone to be involved.
Hmm.
And yeah, like um, I don't know. The thing is like if I'm being honest, bro, like
Hmm.
the only thing I would be reluctant about, I guess,
Hmm.
is like because we had a pretty serious talk right now, like two
Oh
hours
yeah.
of shit that not only was serious, and we're talking about dangerous rhetoric
Yeah.
and implications and global implications and something that
Hmm.
also is personal to me and personal
Yeah.
to my friends and stuff. What's up? I am Rochelle. So yeah, like honestly, I don't think I would want really like anything that we did podcast wise to
Hmm.
be too too deep. Like I don't. I mean, I want to go deep. Don't get me wrong. I'm not afraid to
Hmm.
go deep, but on any subject. But I would want to try to be cognizant of keeping things lighthearted, and I think we do a decent job of that. But and I know that we would. But yeah, like just to be totally honest and open about it
Hmm.
up front. Like I think that it would be important to me that we remain organized in terms of kind of like what you were saying, like having different uh, categories, sections, or segments and that sort of
Well, yeah. I mean,
stuff.
if we actually sat down for a podcast, it would be, more formal and everything. I do want to
Yeah.
say though that at the
But see,
end,
actually, no, I would want it to be less formal. Is kind of what I'm saying.
well, the thing
Certain
is,
things I want to be formal or formulaic, and others not so
right.
much.
Well, right. I mean, the thing is, like when I say that, yeah, formal it's whatever your interpretation of that being, or organized, or however you put it, or
Yeah.
structured, or whatever. But the thing is that like we have to understand at the same time is that um, you also have to go where ideas lead, and you have to entertain the different possibilities. I call my shit "it's all relative." Not necessarily because I just look at shit as relative. It's just I just look at everything as relative. Is that I take in
Yeah.
a bunch of different. I take things.
See
I
how
take
things
things from many
relate to
different.
one another.
I see how things relate to one another. I see different connections. I see the different points of view and the different takes and whatnot, and I weigh them
Yeah.
up. And the thing is
What's
that
up,
like
Maria?
I'm not
How's it
I don't
going?
have a pro. And the thing is that like yeah, while I don't. The thing is the only reason this one was more serious is that because of the nature of what we were talking about in the
That was my
specific
fault.
no, I mean, well, no, it's not your fault. Well, no,
I know. I'm
it's
just.
not. Well, no, it's not your fault. It's just like how funny should a conversation be about something that's connected to like hate crimes and
Yeah.
instigating violence. It's like how funny should you really be? And this is kind of a
Yeah.
thing and this is kind of a thing that annoys me with a lot of so-called comedians and stand-ups and shit, is that um, they like again it's this waving shit off or just saying everything's a joke, but it's like okay, but what also diving deeper into that, some stuff when you dig down, the negative implications of it are far greater than the positive. And so while
Yeah.
I definitely see you on wanting to jump around and not always do stuff that lends itself to this type of in-depth discussion, that there should still be that certain subjects
Oh
do
yeah.
naturally lead to that and shouldn't be
Yeah.
avoided. But that yeah, like I mean, just like the same thing, like my podcast and everything. I jump all over the place. I have to talk about saying political shit. I talk about personal shit. I'll talk about my favorite drink. I'll talk about I'm saying
Yeah.
a decent
Did
comic
you
book.
ever watch
Whatever.
The Fighter and the Kid back when they were actually like up and running in their normal
Nah, I was never
format?
really moved. Nah, I mean, I enjoy some Brian Callen stand-up. I think he's actually pretty funny.
Hmm.
But he's not somebody whom I really care to hear his stream of consciousness usually on.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no. I'm sorry. You know what? I shouldn't even say that because I have enjoyed him on other platforms. So no, I haven't really enjoyed the podcast and the kid and the fighter and the kid,
Yeah, the fight and
because
the kid.
I really don't like what's his fucking name, the
Brendan
jock,
Schaub.
Brendan Schaub. I don't think he's funny. I also
Oh.
think he's a fucking douchebag, and um,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I enjoy some Brian Callen. It's unfortunate. I know the accusations and stuff. I don't know
Hmm.
how credible they are. I think they should be. I think, I think any allegations and shit, especially of that nature, should be investigated.
Hmm.
Um, it's unfortunate, but it's like it has to be looked through. Um, so that's a shame in that respect. But no, I never watched it. Their cast.
Okay. Well,
I
the
tried to
reason,
watch it a couple
yeah,
times early, but I never got into it.
the reason I ask is because one thing that I liked that they would do, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't
We
so
got
written
four
in
minutes, by the way.
stone. Okay. They would kind of like, yeah, they would break up the show into segments. They would have like current events, and then they would, there would be maybe like an intro that is a little more casual. Then they would go into other things, and yeah, it was just it made for something that actually was palatable long term because they
Yeah.
were you know what I mean, like it was agreed upon. We're going to talk about this subject for 5 minutes or something, but
Right. Yeah.
I think generally it was, but unfortunately, the fighter and the kid is not really up and running the same way that it was. I actually did
Right.
enjoy that podcast, and I actually do like both of them. I think we maybe felt the opposite in the sense that I actually don't really care for Brian Callen's stand up that much. Live, it's really good. Live, it works because you're
Well, yeah,
there in the
that's
moment.
what I'm talking about.
Is that what you said? Live?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, well, to me, when I think stand up, I think live. If it's
Oh, a
on like,
live performance, even if you're watching it after the fact.
yeah, because I don't think their
Yeah.
podcasts are done. Their podcasts aren't live, right?
They used to be. Some of them
Oh, okay.
were. Others were maybe uploaded afterward. But I meant
Oh,
like
okay.
when you're actually there. I used to work at the Irvine Improv, so
Hmm.
Brian Callen would come through, and actually watching him was almost inspiring because he has so much boundless energy, and he does
Hmm.
go into different historical subject matter and whatnot. But I know
Hmm.
we're running down on time here, so
Yeah. No, I
um,
like him. Yeah, but in any case, yes. I mean, obviously, IG lives, they're not meant to be as well. To me, the reason why I even started doing the We Was Live is because I wanted something that was more spontaneous and that I didn't have to get prepared for and have to give my,
yeah.
if I was doing it with the guests, to give them a bunch ahead of time. It's like I wanted to be able to do that shit that's a lot more, off the cuff and just more, stream of consciousness.
Yeah,
You
that's what
know.
I love about doing this way. But at the same time, I know that if I did, you know, eventually want to do a podcast, or if we wanted to team up and
Hmm.
actually commit to doing it, I would want to do it more, yeah, like you were talking about, have that quality there. So something like that
Yeah.
studio would be a good spot to just do like a pilot episode, see how it goes.
Hmm.
The guy that owns that spot, his name's John. I don't remember his last name, but he's a chill dude. He's from New
Yeah.
York.
60 seconds.
Okay, so yeah, we should link up with John. Maybe just
Mhm.
maybe just have lunch with John one of these days and see where that goes. And C3 is a chill motherfucker.
It have to be a virtual lunch because they about to shut shit down again.
Oh, you're right, because the COVID cases are
Yeah.
ramping up.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I already, it's like I said, I already do that approach with my own podcast, and most of the other casts and shit that I follow, they're very produced and organized in that fashion and do different, formatting. So yeah, no, I have no problem with that. You know.
Cool, man. Yeah, let's definitely talk more details outside of this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Fuck yeah, bro.
yeah,
Well, maybe
yeah,
we should sign off.
yeah.
We got
Well,
three
thanks.
rounds in.
3 rounds, 3 full hours. So yeah, so everybody, just to recap, we were talking about social justice. We were talking about when does humor go too far? What is the responsibility of content creators in using their platform, and the influence on their audience, social justice, political correctness. I don't know if I said that part already. And yeah, you have 3 full hours, so go check them out on all the platforms. All right, so talk to y'all
Word.
later.
Peace.
Peace.